All right, here we go. If we subtract 3 from 4, what do we get? And if we subtract 3 from 6, okay, which number is bigger? Okay, if we add -2, Kelton, what's the same thing as adding -2? We're minusing 2. So this becomes a -1, and 3 minus 2 is a +1. Which number is bigger? 1. Okay. Now we already talked about this one. Subtracting -4 is the same thing as adding 4. So if we add 4 to -1, what do we get? We get 3. We're adding 4. And if we add 4 to 1, we get 5. Which number is bigger? Okay. Have you noticed that our inequality sign has been the same every time we draw? Yep. Okay. Now we're going to multiply by 2. If we multiply 2, we have 6 and 10. 10 is the bigger number. Okay, if we subtract 7, 6 minus 7 is -1. 10 minus 7. Which one's the bigger number? Okay, now we're going to multiply by a -3. If we multiply by -3, what's going to go here? And what's going to go here? -9. Which number is bigger? Interesting. Okay, now we're going to add 5. Why did I say it's interesting? Because our inequality flipped, didn't it? Interesting. Okay, hey, we don't say that word in this class. David, if we add 5, what do we put here? And over here? -4, and we know that 8 is bigger than -4. If we divide by 4, Jackson, what do we put here? And what about the next one? Okay, 2 is bigger than -1. If we subtract 2, what do we get here? And what do we get here? -3. Now, if we divide by -1, 0 divided by -1 is? But what about -3 divided by -1? And which number is bigger? Okay, so I want you and your elbow partner to take a few seconds and talk about this question at the bottom. Ready, set, go. Okay, if we look at this chart, okay, what do you think? Who has an idea of how to answer that question? Callan. Okay, so it looks like our inequality changed only 2 times in this little routine that we had here. Dimitri. Okay, so Dimitri noticed that if we multiplied or divided by a negative, then our inequality sign had to flip. Do you agree with his assessment here? Okay, what if we multiply or divide by a positive? Did it change? No, here we multiplied by 2, it stayed the same. Here we divided by 4, it stayed the same, okay? But if we multiplied or divided by a negative, then our inequality sign flipped. It changes the inequality. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to send one person with your pink sheets to the recycle bin, and everybody needs to turn to page 12 in their notes. Ready, set, go. Page 12 in your notes. So what we just discovered on that pink sheet is that if we multiply or divide each side of an inequality by a negative number, then we have to flip the inequality symbol. Okay, and that's what we are going to practice today. If we multiply or divide by a negative number, then we have to flip our inequality symbol if we want our inequality to remain true. Okay, so we saw over here that we had to flip our inequality sign here when we multiplied by a -3. We had to flip our inequality sign here when we multiplied by a -1, or divided, excuse me. We multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality sign. So we are going to practice that when we get back from lunch. Okay, I want you to look at this first example. -5w is greater than 20. Go ahead and draw your fence. Okay. David, how is -5 tied to w? So we need to undo our multiplication by dividing both sides by -5. Okay. So our -5s will cancel. We're going to get a w. What's 20 divided by -5?
4.
-4. But what happens if we divide by a negative number? Our inequality sign has to flip. So w is less than -4. If we divide by a negative number, our inequality has to flip. Okay, so we're going to put an open circle at -4. And which direction do we need to go? We got to go to the left. With the sunglasses, who are you?
Forgot. Myself.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about our second example. Okay. If we draw our fence, Giselle, what do we need to do to both sides? So we need to undo the multiplication that's between the -2 and the n, and we need to divide both sides by -2. Okay. So we're left with an n, we're left with a -3, but we divided by a negative number, which means we have to flip our inequality sign. So n is greater than or equal to -3. We're going to go to -3. Leo, do I color in my circle? Yep. Okay. And if n is greater than or equal to -3, Ayla, which way do we need to go, right or left?
Right.
All right, look at example number 3. Okay. What operation is in between b and -3? Okay, so we need to undo our division. Okay, and how do we undo division? We need to multiply both sides by -3. Okay, so the division and multiplication cancel each other out. I have a b, I have a -3. And since we multiplied by a negative number, we need to flip our inequality sign. Now, is this how I'm asking you to give me your answer? No, we need to rewrite it so that our variable is on the left, which means B and 3 are going to switch places. And since B and 3 switch places, we need to make sure that our inequality sign is still opening towards the B. So our inequality sign has to be rewritten also. Okay. So we flip it when we multiply by the -3, but then since we're rewriting it, we have to mirror that entire inequality. So the inequality sign has to be rewritten again. Okay. So Bev, open or close circle at -3. Open circle at -3. And if B is greater than -3, we're going to need to go. No, you are right. To the right. To the right. I don't know what I was doing there. All right, last example on this page. What do I need to do to both sides? Adrian, what do we need to do to both sides? Okay. Ooh, we need to multiply by -2. It is important that we catch that it is a -2. So we need to undo the division by multiplying both sides by a -2. So we get V by itself, we get a -4. We multiplied by a negative number, which means we have to flip the inequality. So V is greater than or equal to -4. Okay, so we have a closed circle at -4. Everybody, which way are we gonna go? I heard like 3 people. That was pretty lame. Everybody. Thank you.
To the right.
To the right? To the right? To the left, to the left. To the front, to the front. To the back, to the back. Now slide. Slide. You don't do the. See, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to do the 4 problems on page 13. Please pay attention, because if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, the inequality flips. But if you're multiplying or dividing by a positive, it will not. Are you asking me for real? Okay, do we divide by negative? Do we divide by negative? That's the inequality. Anytime we multiply or divide by negative or inequality, flips things down. We have 2. I have one right here, and I have an electric one back there.
Let's check me.
Are you dividing or multiplying by negative numbers? Yeah. Yeah, 7. So whatever they need to put
So are you dividing by a negative number? Okay, so if you divide by a negative number, all these steps. So yeah, G is less than or equal to negative 10. You did that right. Only when you multiply or divide by a negative are you gonna flip that sign. Okay, did you divide by a negative number? And that means quality sign has to flip. No, no, no. Just sign. Give me about one more minute. All right, Hudson, for number one, what did you do to solve?
I subtracted 8 on both sides, but divided negative 8 on both sides.
Okay, so we need to undo the multiplication by dividing by negative 8 to both sides. So we get G and we get negative 10. Do we need to switch the inequality sign? Yeah. Yes, we do. Okay, so please look at your answer. It should be G is less than or equal to negative 10. You should have a closed circle at negative 10, and we're going to go to the left. Does yours match mine? If not, fix it. Okay, does yours match? Awesome. Okay, make sure it's a closed circle since there's the line. All right, in number two, Leah, what did you do to both sides to solve for W? So we need to undo the division by multiplying by negative 4 to both sides. So we get W and a positive 20. Adrian, do we flip the sign? Yeah. We do flip the sign because we divided by a negative number. So please look, your answer should be W is less than 20. We have an open circle at 20, and we're going to go to the left. All right, now number 3 is where it gets interesting. Liam, what do we need to do to both sides to solve number 3? We need to divide by 4 on both sides. What kind of 4? A negative or a positive? A positive. Do we flip the sign on this step? No, we have 4 is greater than X. The inequality sign needs to stay the same. We divided by a positive number. Now, is our variable on the left? No, so we do need to rewrite it to where X and 4 trade places, which means our inequality sign does need to trade places also, okay? So X is less than 4, and we have an open circle going to the left, okay? I need you to make sure that you have the same thing I do. We do not flip the inequality sign if it's a positive number we're dividing by. Only when it's a what kind of number? Negative that we're dividing by or multiplying by. Let's look at number 4. Brady, what do we need to do to both sides to solve this one? We need to undo our division by multiplying both sides by 6. So we get D, oh my, what's 66 times 6? Thank you. Is that wrong? What is 66 times 6? 396? Why are we disagreeing then? It is a big number. Ayla, should we switch our inequality? No, we multiplied by a positive number, so we do not flip our sign. So at negative 396, we have a closed circle, and we're gonna go to the left.
Or less than.
Is that what I said?
That.
Me? Okay, real quick. We're gonna do a little activity. It is called to flip or not to flip. Okay, so thumbs up is flip. Thumbs down is not flip. Are you ready? When I do the first step of this inequality, would I flip or not flip my inequality? Thumbs up, flip. Thumbs down, not flip. Everybody go, vote. Callan, why would we not flip? Okay, I am going to multiply both sides by a positive 5. Okay, I said my first step. We are not going to flip the inequality in our first step. Okay, so let's try another one. How about this one? Are we going to flip or not flip? Thumbs up, flip. Thumbs down, not flip. We are going to flip. Why, Adrian? We would be dividing by a negative number. Okay. On the first step, would we flip our inequality sign? Thumbs up, yes. Thumbs down, no. Would we flip our inequality sign on the first step? Giselle, why not? What is our first step? Oh, we gotta add 12 to both sides. Adding and subtracting isn't even a time where we would flip the sign. It's only multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, thumbs up, we flip it. Thumbs down, we don't flip it. On our first step, are we gonna flip or not flip? Hudson, I don't see your thumb. Okay, Leo, I don't see your thumb. Okay, Jackson, why are we thumbs down? Okay, we're gonna add 11 to both sides. That is not multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, all right, thumbs up, we flip it. Thumbs down, we don't flip it. Alejandra, Gianna, what do you think? Okay, it is a no. Kelton, why is it a no? Okay, we are not dividing by a negative, we're dividing by a positive. All right, how about this guy? On the first step, are we gonna flip or are we gonna not flip? But there's a negative. We're multiplying by 5. That's a positive number, okay? All right, everybody turn the page to page 14. In your homework, you need to be very careful because you have all 4 operations hidden inside of this worksheet. You need to decide what operation to use and when you need to flip that inequality sign, okay? Let's get started.